Hello everyone, today I'm going to be showing you how to make a mini soccer game on Scratch. So this is kind of what we're going to be making. So there's going to be a bouncing ball. And basically you need to get it to the other side. If it goes above the goal, it just bounces back. And let me just try to score. Okay, it went too high up. The tactics kind of to like get the ball from above. And then, yep. If we try to score from this dude, well, it's a bit hard to score, but yep. There we go. We scored the goal, and yep. So player 1, which is the red player, is controlled by WASD, while player 2 is controlled using arrow keys. So let's get right into it. So first off, we can just get rid of the scratch cat because we of course don't need it. And we need to make the background. So this is actually one sprite. No, actually it's two sprites. One of them is the actual hitbox and one of them is the design. So you'll see what I mean in a moment. But first we just need to make the background, which is basically just a blue sky. So let's go ahead and make this blue. And I'll make it something like this. And yep, we have a blue sky right there. Next up we need the soccer field itself. So let's just make a rectangle, a green rectangle. You can get rid of the outline. Let me just do that. And if you want to know how it looks like here, you can just put the green flag and then make it go to the center. Oops. Yep. And I think I want to make it a bit more wider. So I'm going to do that. And an increase here as well. Next off, we want to make the grass. So what I can do is probably maybe just gonna use this and hold shift to make straight lines, and something like this should be good. Let me just go ahead and select all of this, or just like that. Then you can copy it. You can go ahead and zoom in so it's easier to work with, and just go ahead, copy and paste this for the whole thing. Just like that. And now we have a grass. It looks a bit weird. This one looks a bit more natural. Well, you can fix that by yourself if you want to. Anyways, we're gonna move on. So let's just name this stage, and let's actually make the goalpost here as well. So the stage is gonna have green rectangle but with black outline. We're basically making this goalpost right here a bit more thinner, should be good. Yep. Let me go ahead, turn that. If you want to exactly turn it 90 degrees, hold shift, and yep, like that we have a 90-degree turn. Make it a bit shorter. I'm gonna actually make it higher, and yep, we have that. And we're gonna just duplicate that and flip it, put it on the other side, and we kind of have a goalpost. Let me just adjust that. And yep, we have a goalpost. Next up, we just want to duplicate this and name this one hitbox. And we're just gonna make the net because this is kind of empty. You can click this so that it goes back where it's supposed to be. and make the net. So for the net, what I did here is just made random white lines that are straight. So hold shift if you want your lines to be straight, and just do that. It doesn't look the best. You can make it look better, but I'm just gonna work with this for now. You can copy your net, paste it, flip it, then put it on the other side. And yep, we kind of have a soccer court right here. And this is kind of like, so we need this one to be in the front layer. So just put the go to front layer thing and run the program. It should be good now. So let's just move on to the sprites. I mean, these two are sprites as well, but it's kind of like a part of the backdrop. So we need 3 extra sprites. They are this player, and the ball. So for the player, we're kind of just gonna use platformer physics. So let's just name this P1. And let's start off by making the player. So all I did right here is first I made a rectangle. I mean, not a rectangle, a square. So let's just go ahead, do that. Yep. And we don't want an outline. Hold shift so that it's a perfect square. I mean, if you want to have actual players, then you can go ahead and do that. If you want yours to be a triangle, you can do that, but I'm going to use a square since I have done that here as well. Let me just make that a bit more smaller. Okay, go ahead, copy and paste that. Hold Control so that it doesn't change proportion and make it bigger. And there, we can change that here, make it a bit more darker, and make it go to the back layer. Let me just cut this to the middle. We kind of have our square. It's a bit more different here, but yeah, you can adjust it. You can even make it green. I don't really mind, because it's your game. And I'm just gonna change the size of this, select the whole thing, hold Control and make it smaller, and make sure you put it back in the center. Okay, let me just adjust the size. Maybe it's a bit bigger. Yep. And that should be fine. Next, just duplicate this and change the color. So this is gonna be the same thing but blue. And there we go. We have 2 sprites. You can place them wherever you want for now. So let's start off coding for this sprite. So first off, we want to, well, of course, let's do the basic stuff you want to do when you have a new sprite. So you start off with the when clicked, and then show it, and make it go, I think it's gonna start around from here, so let's just make it go there. And then hide variables. So we want to make 2 variables called x and y, which we're going to use for the physics. So let's go ahead, set x to 0 and y to 0 as well. Make sure to hide them so that your program is smooth and there's no random variables on your screen at any time. And if you want to see the variables, you can of course put this in later, but yeah. Anyways, let's just move on. So forever, we're going to change our y value by 1. By y value, we're not going to change our actual y, but the variable y. So let's just change it by -1. Then we want it to move to the left when you press A, and to the right when you press D. So for that, let's just do if key A is pressed, it's going to change x by -1. And if key D is pressed, we change we change x by 1. And yep, let's I think that is it for moving around, but we're not actually changing the x. So for that, we're gonna actually, this is a lot, so that's why we're gonna multiply by 0.9 so that it's smoother, and you'll see what I mean in a moment. So let's just go ahead and do that. And now we can change the x by the actual x. So change x by x. Just go ahead, duplicate that, and yep. Now we can go left and right. Now we want it so that gravity exists and it doesn't just fall through the ground. So I think for that we'll have a few if statements. So let's do if it's touching color. If it's touching the player or it's on the ground, then it's going to be on it. So we can do touching color and then choose the player's outline, or it's going to be if it's touching the ground, so this, and put an or statement, so like that. And then change y by 1. And to make sure this works, we're going to put it a few more times. So like that, we're going to put it 4 times. Oops. So to make sure it works, we're going to put it many times. But then if we change y by 1, it's going to start going up. So we want it to go down as well. And if we counter it at the same number of times, it's going to stay at one spot. Hence, like, not falling through the ground. So for that, we just need to duplicate it one more time. And this time, we change y by -4. So we go up 4 times here. And then it just goes back by -4, so it stays there. So it doesn't go through the ground in that way. And then we change x by x times -1. And then we're gonna make the jump code, or rather the wall hop code. So let's put an if else statement, and there we're gonna do if the key W is pressed. It's gonna set y to 17. Make sure you change this to y. And we're gonna else set y to, let's say, about 0. We're gonna set y to 0. Right now we're gonna set x to 0 because otherwise we don't want it to move. And right here I think we want another if else statement. So if x is more than 0, so if x is more than 0, then we set x to -10. Otherwise we set it to 10. Okay. And now we're gonna change the actual y by y. Just go ahead, do that. Change y by y. Make sure you put it in the right spot, don't put it here or anywhere else. You put it here. And then we just go ahead, duplicate that. And in here we're gonna have if that happens, if it touches these colors, then it changes y by y minus, I'm gonna do y times 2. And then we set y back to 0. And then we change y by -1. And now the jump code, so if this happens and also key W is pressed, happens and this happens and we change y by -1. We change y by -1. But now this time we change y by 1. So it doesn't go through the ground. -1 and then 1 cancels itself. Now it's 0. Doesn't move. Alright, I just realized I just duplicated this here without changing it. Set y to 12. Yep. There we go. Now we basically have that. And for P2, we can just go ahead do that and replace everything by another variable. So x2 and y2. And I think that should be good. So you literally just replace everything that is y2 and everything that is x2 x2. And once you're done with that, don't forget to change the arrow key stuff as well. So A is going to be left arrow, D is going to be right arrow, and the W key is going to be up arrow, and up arrow here as well. And now this moves using arrow keys. We forgot to make this spawn here instead of here, so let's just go ahead and do that. And yep, I think we have we kind of just have two platformer code sprites right here. We haven't really implemented the soccer stuff yet. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that. So make another sprite. It's gonna be a soccer ball. So I have one from my backpack that I used to make this. It's basically the same thing. So yeah, you can get an image from the internet. You can make your own using the scratch tools. You can, well, do whatever you want. Just get a soccer ball and you can go ahead make an outline. I'm gonna go ahead and make an outline because it's kind of like open. So let's go ahead and do that. I don't want a fill for this. And that should be good. Oh, this is way too big, obviously. So let's do that. And it should be good. Make sure you change the outline. This is fat. Yep. And this is pretty good. Let's go ahead make the code for this. So basically, it's gonna be kind of similar to the platformer code, but it's pretty different though, since it keeps bouncing even when nothing happens, and well, it needs to react when someone hits the ball. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that. So when the green flag is clicked, we point in direction 90 and we want it to start somewhere around here. So I'm just gonna give it a value of around 0 and 50, because 0 is the center and then 50, so a bit more above. And we show the sprite. And we need more variables now, so let's do gravity, x3 and y3. Go ahead, hide all of those, and then set gravity to -0.2. And then we have our forever loop, and it's gonna just start off with if not touching stage. So our stage is this stuff. So if it's not touching this, it's gonna, well, if it's not touching all of this, then it's gonna fall down because we don't want it to fall through here. So if it's not touching this stuff and decloading the net, because we want it to go through the net, otherwise it's just gonna bounce off the net and never score. That's why we have two sprites here. So if not touching stage, then it's gonna change Y3 by gravity. Actually, let's make this an if-else statement. So let's go ahead and move that and set Y3, else we set Y3 to, let's say, Y3 times minus 0.5. Yep, and then we do if the Y position is less than minus 140. Oops. Yep, there we go. Then it's gonna set Y3 to 5. And otherwise we set X position. We don't set X position, we need another conditional to see where the X position is at. So if the X position is less than minus 188, then it's gonna change X3 by 0.1. Actually, just make this an if-else statement as well. And just put that in there. And we're gonna check now if it's more than 188. And if it is, we change it by minus 0.1. And then another if-else statement inside this. So we're gonna then check if X3 is less than 0. No, we're gonna check if X3 is more than 0. And then we change by minus 0.05 and just put this inside again and 0.05 and yep, I think that's it. You can leave this blank and just put this in here. And yep, let's move on to we're not done here yet. Just go ahead and duplicate this. And let's actually set X3 and Y3 to 0. We haven't done yet. So let's set X3 and Y3 to 0. And change X and change Y. So this one's going to be X3. This one's going to be Y3. Then turn by X3 times 2 degrees. And if the X position is less than minus 230, then it's going to set X3 to 3. And here we do X position is more than 230, set X3 to minus 3. And then there we have another patch of code, which is going to see if the ball has been scored into the goal. So we have two new variables that's going to keep count of the score, score 1 and score 2. Make this into a large variable by right clicking on it and then selecting large readout. And we're going to set both of these to 0 at the start. And then in the forever loop, we do if it's touching player 1. Start off with player 2. So let's do set x3 to 5 and y3 to 5. And for player 1, we're gonna do x3 to -5. y3 is okay at 5. And then if the y position is less than -77, and then we have another loop here. So if it's more than 200, then we change score by 1. Change score by 1. Score 1 by 1. And point in direction 90 and go back to the center, so it's going to be 0 and 50. And let's set x3 and y3 back to 0. And let's just put a nice sound effect. So goal cheer. Start sound goal cheer. And if the other player scores, so let's do that. Score 2. Change this to less than -200. And the rest of this will be the same. And yep. Put that in there. And now we need to make the ball bounce off players. So let's just make 2 more small changes. So go ahead, do that, and replace this with touching sprite 2, which is gonna be player 2, and do this and set x3 to x2 times 0.9. And y2 plus 0.5. And for this, let's do player 1. It's gonna be same stuff, but instead of x2 and y2, it's gonna be x and y. And yep. Okay, I just realized that I set all of these to set instead of change. So let's just go ahead and do that. So change this this value right there. So make sure you do this to your program as well. Just go ahead, do that. And yep, now we have working soccer game. And you can score a goal and play with your friends. Also, quick note, change your touching color of player 2 to this for all of your, well, places where you have this color instead. And yep, your program should be running fine because you can kind of just go through right now. So yeah, anyways, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.